Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and Marjorie Taylor Greene goes toe-to-toe with these other politicians who just don't get it as to why we need to end the war in Ukraine. Let's dive in.
The administration has even raised strong objections against extending the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative and authorizing additional funding for it. Yet somehow the NDAA contains $700 million. The administration said, and this comes from the letter from the Office of the OMB, the administration strongly objects to Sections 1223 and 1227 as these provisions extend the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative and authorize additional funding. Similarly, the administration objects to Section 1224, which requires the creation of depot-level maintenance plan in conjunction with the Ukrainian government. Furthermore, the administration strongly objects to Section 1228, which usurps the administration's authority to dictate the terms of its intelligence support to the Ukrainian government. These four provisions do not advance the administration's objective to end the conflict in Ukraine. That's the key point. The administration wants to end the conflict in Ukraine. Ukraine is not a NATO member nation. We're not contractually bound to provide their protection. And need I remind everyone here that we're $37 trillion in debt. $37 trillion. We should not have to be sending more American tax dollars over to defend Ukraine and the people of Ukraine when Ukrainians themselves are coming to our country and getting murdered on trains, subway trains. Irina Zarutska was brutally murdered by an American man as she was riding on a subway train. Yet we're sending $700 million more to Ukraine. The American people would like that $700 million spent here to keep people safe and stop senseless, insane murders. Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
The gentlelady from Georgia reserves. The gentleman is recognized.
This amendment would be very destructive to achieving peace in Ukraine. I agree with the gentlelady. That should be the goal. But what has been clear for quite some time is that Putin will only stop his war when it is clear that he cannot achieve his objectives in Ukraine. President Trump showing weakness on that issue, literally rolling out the red carpet for Putin, has only made the war worse. Ever since President Trump has tried to blame the war on Zelensky and Ukraine, Putin has ramped up the war, launching more aggressive attacks than he ever has in the 3.5 years of the war, and most recently sending drones over Poland as well. Weakness invites aggression. And I know the proponent of this amendment says that many, many times, but apparently doesn't recognize weakness when she sees it. That is what cutting off Ukraine does. You want to stop the war, back the 53-nation coalition that is supporting Ukraine and making it clear to Putin he's not going to win. That forces him to the peace table. Showing weakness, backing off, undermining the coalition only extends the war. Please defeat this amendment. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlelady from Georgia is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, the American people have war fatigue. Not just war fatigue, they're absolutely fed up. Absolutely fed up with funding foreign wars, defending foreign nations' borders, while here in America, many cities are completely unsafe and senseless murders go on and on. My amendment would reorient defense policies and priorities to America only by prohibiting all assistance to Ukraine. This lines up completely what Trump's administration has asked for. For some reason, Congress has decided they want to keep funding the war, funding the killing in Ukraine. To date, Congress has provided U.S. taxpayers have provided over $175 billion in assistance to Ukraine, including direct military aid, funding for their government, and essentially funding for their entire economy. Mind you, this was while American businesses were shut down during COVID lockdowns, and our border was completely overrun. Everyone needs to understand it wasn't Putin killing Americans, it was the cartels killing Americans and insane murderers and criminals on our own city streets in our own country. I'm going to remind everyone, The American people are broke, and the people in this room are responsible for that on both sides of the aisle. $37 trillion in debt is no joke. And I say that on behalf of my children's generation, and they're all in their 20s. So I want to know, how deep are we going to continue digging the grave to bury our children and our grandchildren? I'll have no part of it. I reserve.
Marjorie is 100% right here. And I've grown more and more proud of her, particularly over a couple of her stances recently. This is the one I'm the most proud of, however. Because the war in Ukraine is nothing more than a meat grinder in order for the rest of Europe to feel safe. And I repeat that last phrase, to feel safe. It has nothing to do with the nation of Ukraine and their own independence. The whole reason Europe has been throwing money at this war is to throw the Ukrainian people under the bus and make sure the war machine keeps churning on. If that sounds ghoulish to you, that's because it is. That's the reality of the situation. Now, Russia is not Russia does not get a free pass for this. That they have decided to go to war for insane and insipid reasons. That's sort of obvious. But what this has devolved into is this weird slug match, but as a proxy war. And it's a proxy war against a nation that we shouldn't even be waging proxy wars against anymore. We defeated the communists in 1991, before I was born. Well, what a surprise. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has just fueled hopes for a rate cut, and of course the price of gold moved higher. Safe haven assets like gold and silver tend to get higher when rates are cut. And that's exactly why I have partnered with the award-winning company Goldco. They sell precious metals like gold and silver, and they do an amazing job with it because they keep it simple. So if you are ready to learn how Goldco can help protect your savings with gold and silver, I want you to go to PolitiBrawlGold.com. You can get a free 2025 gold and silver kit. Plus, you can learn how to get a 10% back on silver for free. It's literally the best silver offer on the market. So don't miss this one. That's PolitiBrawlGold.com. Again, visit PolitiBrawlGold.com to protect your savings. Why do we keep doing this? Well, here's an article that I found from a couple of months ago. The Secretary of the Army rightly calls Ukraine the Silicon Valley of warfare. The Navy considers the maritime fight between Russia and Ukraine as the Black Sea Battle Lab and recognizes the need for rapid innovation, Mitch McConnell said at the committee meeting on Thursday. It's a game. It's a game to them. It is a game to America's military-industrial complex, and here's how it works. We give them an extra $1 billion. What they do with that money is they'll take that billion and they'll buy more of our weapons. So that's money that's already been taxed from the American taxpayers. It then goes overseas, which means that money's coming back, it gets taxed again. So that's one positive. And that's a caveat on that positive. So that's the positive of this equation. And then that means the stocks stay high. That means people stay employed. That means that you can get a few more tax evaluations from the company and from the people that work for these companies. In other words, this is something that's called an infinite money printer. That's what this is. This war is a scientific lab experiment with basically free money. Okay, we give them money, they buy our stuff, that stuff gets taxed, basically we make the money back. That is a very ugly thing, and unfortunately it's 100% logical. That's the evil in the world that we see, or rather that we don't see daily. That is the unspoken evil that is our Defense Department, or now it's the Department of War. I'm very grateful for the name change because that's what it is. Because of the military doctrine that it's better to fight overseas than on your own homeland. Although we're separated by 2 oceans. We don't have to worry about Canada invading us anymore. As a matter of fact, it's probably the other way around now. And then, of course, we have to worry about the cartels at our southern border. So we don't have to worry about our own defense. America is one of the best geographies in the world. But what Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting corrected on is this weird and insipid mindset of, yes, we know better because we're going to use someone else as a meat grinder. We're going to use someone else as a human shield. We're going to use someone else as a lab experiment. That way we can take all the drone footage and then put it through our algorithms and create better weapons. Well, yay, that's great for the logical part of the brain. That's terrible for the soul. That's terrible for the souls of the people that keep talking about this and are almost giddy at the idea of giving Ukraine more money and fighting those big, bad, mean Russians that we keep on picking weird fights with. Never forget, folks, we overturned a Ukrainian election in 2014, helped foment a revolution, and took Ukraine out of the Russian sphere and put it into the Western sphere. All because we found a ton of oil and LNGs, liquefied natural gas. We found a ton of them out there. And then we broke up their biggest corporation, put it into smaller pieces, and now magically our politicians' children are sitting on those oil boards? That's what Hunter Biden was doing in 2014 and 2015. That's what Mitt Romney's kids were doing. This isn't a one-party issue. And yet people are just thumbing their noses at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, how dare you not understand this concept? We are so much smarter than you. We must continue to put the people of Ukraine through this meat grinder in order to protect us. No, that's not the reason. I think I've explained it pretty well, and we're tired of this. We're tired of this nonsense. We're tired of feeling like we keep on selling ourselves and selling our own people out in order to placate this infinite money printer, in order to placate this war machine. And as much as I understand the logic behind this, it's time to end policies like this. We cannot continue to put people through a literal hell in order to feel better about ourselves. That is a fundamental evil thing to do. That's what's going on in this trench warfare with drone strikes all up above. I cannot imagine the horror of that war. But we've seen it in World War I. We've seen it during the war between the states. And we're seeing it again today in this trench warfare. I hope it ends soon. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Till then, y'all have a good one. And Communiste delenda est.